Good evening, everybody. My name is Rainer. You are on BookTube, and this is my channel, Rainier Books. I'm a German guy living in Sweden, outside Stockholm, and I am talking about books that are written in English and, in a lot of cases, also translated into the English language. And today, it is time for another episode in my beloved segment, I've Read Something. I've read Heaven by the Japanese author Mieko Kawakami. Let's get started. Mieko Kawakami. I have to say that I did this as a buddy read with Rachel, who has her own channel. Rachel is Reading, a very great channel I love every video of her, and she's about reading a lot of the books that I read and that I like. So really subscribe to her channel. Absolutely do it today, if you haven't done so yet. But I'm doing a review now of Mieko Kawakami's novel Heaven that we read last week. It's a short novel, actually, like also the first novel that was published into English, about 90 pages. It is the second novel that was translated into English, and this edition that I have is from an American company, although it's called Europa Editions. It is published in New York City, and it is translated by, as the first novel, Breasts and Eggs, that came last year. It was translated by the American, Japanologists, Sam Bett and David Boyd, a great translation. Mieko Kawakami is a 45-year-old Japanese writer. She has a very interesting biography. I would love to know more about her. But as far as I could find out, she was born in 1976 in Osaka, which is about 2-3 hours south of Tokyo, depending on which train you take. But she has moved to Tokyo in recent years. She has grew up without a father, which is important to say here, talking about this novel, because also the female character, lead character of the book, Kojima, is growing up without a father. So there's a similarity. And another similarity is actually that this book, Heaven, plays out in 1991 when the author was 15, and our two characters in this book, the main characters, are 14 years old. So there's another parallel to the autobiography, but then it's completely literary fiction. This novel is a great novel. I have to give readers, how do you say that in English? A reader's advice. Reader's discretion is advice. I think that's the term in America. If you have problems with strong depictions of bullying, of pain, and even thoughts of suicide, then I warn you that this novel contains all of this. But it does so for a reason, for a good reason. This is a great novel. I love it. Heaven by Mieko Kawakami. One of the great reads of 2021. This is the novel about, we have an eye narrator, a boy named, well, he has actually no name. He's the eye narrator. He's surrounding the other people in school, the other children in school. They call him just eyes, because he has what is called in English a lazy eye, which is drifting a lot to the side. And that's also the reason why he wears glasses, why he gets bullied. He gets horribly bullied. He lives a horrible life at the age of 14, when you are in the middle of puberty and you have your sexual development is coming. We have also some masturbation scenes in that novel. So another reader discretion is advised here. And when you experience a lot of things of your body, and then you are sort of an outsider in school, and you really fear to go to school each and every day because you don't know what the other guys, the other boys will do to you. And they do horrible things to this little boy, which are sometimes almost impossible to read, because it's so detailed depicted out of the perspective of the eye narrator that it's so incredibly real. And Kawakami has a great talent for that. She also has a great talent for creating very authentic and believable dialogues. And this book is a lot also about dialogues, because in the beginning, the eye narrator finds a note on his desk when he comes to school, and that's like the first paragraph of the novel goes like, "One day toward the end of April, between classes, I unzipped my pencil case and found a folded triangle of paper between the pencils. I unfolded it to see what was inside. Just the sentence, 'We should be friends.'" Eyes finds out that this paper comes from a girl by the name of Kojima. Kojima is also the other outsider, the female outsider in the class. She is growing up without her father, which she has loved her father immensely. She's missing her father so much that she reacts to this, to the fact that the father has left the family in a way that she is not taking care of her own looks. She doesn't care of her own hygiene, and she goes dirty, unwashed to school, and that's why she's bullied by the other girls, but also by the boys. So both Eyes and Kojima are outsiders, but they sort of will get together. They will meet, and that is the beautiful side of the story, that there's a friendship growing between these two characters. But then Eyes experiences even worse bullying. There's a horrible scene that who can read almost everything, I can see almost everything, I don't have so much problems with strong depictions, but this made me shiver a little bit. This is a depiction of when the boys sort of find Eyes, and they treat him horrible, and they use him as a living soccer ball, which is an incredible scene full of violence and pain and loneliness and power. And it's unbearable, but it's so real that I think it's necessary and explainable why this is so strong in this book. But then the story goes on and on and on. We have a lot of dialogue. I mentioned the dialogue, and the dialogues are very important because Mieko Kawakami, the author, she is discussing a lot by using this dialogue. And in the end, I won't reveal the end, but there's an interesting end of the book when things end for one character and they don't end for another character in this book. So Kojima and Eyes, they become friends, but then they sort of drift apart. And there's scenes where Kojima is talking to Eyes, and there are long dialogues, and there's also a scene where Eyes is discussing his situation with one of the bulliers, one boy that always stands and just watches what happens. This guy's called Momose, and they sort of... Eyes asks Momose, "Why are you doing this?" And Momose explains that it has nothing to do with you. It could be someone else that we bully. It's just arbitrary things like that. And Kawakami has said that this novel, Heaven, which she wrote in 2009, is a novel where she also discusses the theories of the German philosopher Friedrich Nietzsche, of his will to power in his book Thus Speaks Zarathustra, or Zarathustra as we say in Germany, where Nietzsche is describing this, that some people have the will to have extreme and unlimited power over others. And this is also an issue that is really discussed by the characters in the book in a very beautiful way with great dialogue. Even though we have an eye narrator who's a boy, maybe the strongest character and that is most unforgettable is the girl character Kojima. And Kawakami has said, "Other people write about girls who are martyrs, but they're always portrayed as outwardly beautiful with some fragile weakness. I did not portray Kojima this way. She's not exceptional by typical standards, even to Boku, but she's a girl with great potential and is one of my favorite characters. She embodies friendship and faith." This novel won in 2010 the Murasaki Shikibu Literary Prize, and Kawakami has won a huge bunch of awards in her career. She has apparently had also an unforgettable discussion on a panel with the great Japanese writer Haruki Murakami, who is of an older generation and always named, when Nobel Prize winners are guessed and speculated about each and every year. People always say Murakami could win, Murakami should win. So there was this discussion on stage by Kawakami, and Murakami, the old guy, said about Kawakami, who could be his daughter, this author Mieko Kawakami, she's like a tree that is growing, a very healthy tree that is growing. It's growing higher and higher with all its branches, and it can reach the clouds. And by saying that, he means that Kawakami her career as a writer has no limits. It was a huge praise for Kawakami. But Kawakami answered in this same discussion also with critique to Murakami, because she said, I think that you're a great writer, but you, as many Japanese men, the women in your novels, they're just being used to sort of develop the men. And Kawakami, being a feminist writer, says that she hasn't been a feminist when she was younger, but she says growing older means that you have to become a feminist. And as I said in the beginning, her biography is very interesting. She grew up fatherless. She was a pretty difficult child as a teenager. She started making music. She was a singer. I think she has also recorded when she was pretty young. Then she slowly got into publishing and writing. And in English, we have from Europa publishers in New York. We have Breasts and Eggs, which was a huge success last year, but Breasts and Eggs was written in 2006. Now we have Heaven, that came in 2021, 12 years after it was written. And next year, the same publisher in New York will publish her novel, All the Lovers in the Night, which will come 2022 by Europa. So there will be more Kawakami coming soon. And I want to finish this with another quote. It's a novel that you absolutely should read if you can bear with it. If you can read this strong depictions, then read it. You will love it. I want to finish this, hopefully positive review of this book by a quote by Kawakami, who said in an interview with the Japan Times, and I put a link down below to that beautiful interview where she has a lot of quotes from her are to be found. Fiction has the power to reveal options and possibilities, to open up a child's mind to their choices. I want young people to survive harsh times, not only victims of bullying, but also children who are abused by their parents or sexually abused. Children are powerless. I want them to survive. It's why I wrote Heaven. Nothing more to say. If I would give stars, 5 out of 5 for Heaven by Mieko Kawakami. Can't wait for her next novel next year. Dear Europa Editions, thank you for giving us this beautiful, beautiful Japanese writer. I make a bow to you. And with that, I say good night to each and every one of you out there in here and around the world. I see you very soon with another video about something bookish. Please stay safe while you stay tuned to the channel. 33,900 new infections in Germany yesterday. This is a lot. It's not over yet, so be careful. And I see you soon. Bye-bye.